Greetings and welcome once again to my final or summary video. This will be on a few basic problems and methods that you can use. Now remember, in the previous or penultimate video, I showed you problems with modern Greek terminology and theory of fractions, and I explained a lot of the history, the confusion, and chaos, and what fraction means in particular. And now I'm just going to give you a few tips here of how to work the fractions. So the first practice that you should get into when dealing with fractions is just to automatically convert them to the same denominator. And why do I say that? Well, because it makes everything very simple for you. And I'll give you an example. Okay, as you saw with the ratios of line segments in the second and third videos, where you found the same consequent parts, and we used this example, 3/2 and 4/3, it's much easier to do the division if they have the same denominator, that is 6. Okay, so 9/6 is an equivalent fraction of 3/2, and 8/6 is an equivalent fraction of 4/3. And we obtained 9/6 by multiplying this by 3/3 and multiplying this by 2/2. Okay, and so that gives us this fraction here. But now we know that when we see something like this, that it's the same as the ratio operation, which says that P over Q, these are not numbers by the way, these are ratios, P over Q is equal to P divided by Q. Okay, and what we do here is we take the antecedents of both. Okay, so the antecedent of this one becomes 9. The consequent of this is the antecedent of this one, so it's 9/8 or 9/8. Okay, and if we choose to separate wholes from parts, this is another way we can simplify 9/8. Okay, we can say it's the same as 8 plus 1/8. Okay, because it's still measure. This works according to the simple properties of ratios of line segments, and that becomes 8/8 plus 1/8, which is the same as 1 plus 1/8, which can also be written as 1 and 1/8. So remember, 1 plus 1/8 is just a different representation of this measure. It's not a mixed fraction. I mean, think how stupid it is where you start off with an improper fraction and suddenly you have a mixed fraction. That's how mixed up mainstream academics are, by the way. So we shouldn't have those expressions. They're garbage. They're just confusion, and we should remember that number is all about measure. Okay. Now you could have solved this problem here also by using multiplication. So look at the difference between the first part and this part. Here you actually have to know your times tables here. Okay, in this part here, you need to know your times tables. Okay, here you don't. Here all that happens is you take this guy, put it on the top, and this guy on the bottom. But here you have to say 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? So now that we're done with that, let's get rid of this. Delete. Okay. And let's look at subtraction. Now, this one has what mainstream mathematics academics call mixed numbers. And we could have done it the way I've shown you here with the same denominator. And of course, 8/4 is just taking this as converting the 2 into quarters, okay, and then adding 3/4, which is this part here, right? But we could have also said 2 minus 1, and that's 1 that you see down here, and then done this as a straight up forward fraction, which is 3/4 minus 2/5. That's another way of doing it. So there are many ways of doing these things. Similarly, if we had addition, we could first convert to the same denominator, and that makes it easy to find the result by adding the two numbers. Division, same story, and multiplication, same story. So that's pretty much it. If you're not already a subscriber to my channel, become a subscriber, click like, and follow me on Academia.edu. And by the way, I haven't left you without help. Here's my free ebook called Essential Mathematics. Okay. It's got a watermark on it because it's free, but if you want the non-watermark version, you can buy it for $10 or 10 euros. It's a primer for mathematics educators. It's meant to teach teachers and mathematics professors the very concept that makes mathematics works, numbers. Okay? So this is the book, free. You can get it on Academia.edu, and I'll place a link to it in the details section. And that, my friends, is the end of the 8-part series on fractions. I'm John Gabriel. This is a New Calculus channel. Until next time, goodbye.